Okay. Hey, friends, good morning. We're looking at the big board behind me. Let me pull up the other big board, and then I'm going to send out the link so that everybody can watch. Wow, imagine that. So let's see. We're going to get this out there to everybody. Hold on. I don't have a good way of doing this yet, so bear with me, please. Let's see if I can get over here to the right stream. We're going to grab this morning, so I'm going to copy that, push that out. And we're going to see, this morning, just pointing out that we have the markets are down this morning about 0.5% to 1/3%. The issue seems to be that there's a breakdown in talks with Iran, and therefore we're going down. Okay, so now let's get in a little closer. We're going to take a look a little deeper at the markets. We're going to get a little pull in a little bit tighter. Give me one more second to finish getting up. I got to put this link out there so that everybody knows how to find me. All right, well, so here's the fun. Let's pull up the news for a moment. Start out with a really brief look at what's going to happen today. Today is April 13th. There is another at 10 a.m. Officially, I think the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will begin, and we'll see what that's going to do to the rest of the market. It doesn't sound good. I understand credit markets are actually going to be having an issue, and that's something that we're going to have to look at as well. So insurance companies might be taking a hit based off of that. Goldman Sachs had earnings, it looks like. They had earnings rated estimated at 15. They came in at 17, so that looks like they blew away their earnings. The numbers are across the board look pretty good, and we're gonna have to see what will happen with them if the credit market actually gets hit. Oil is back up over 100, and that's because of the talks had fallen. So basically, Trump had said that if Iran wasn't going to let anyone else's ships through the Strait of Hormuz, he wasn't going to let any Iranian ships through the Strait of Hormuz. He wasn't going to let them continue to collect money, and that's sending the whole market for a little bit of a spin. But it shouldn't be much of a surprise. We really should have been prepared for this and know that oil was going to pop up back over 100. Friday we were looking at oil, natural gas rather, and I was saying that natural gas was rather low, but I wasn't sure because, the weather and everything like that. Usually in the summer, natural gas goes down. We're at a low point relatively for natural gas, so could it be a good buy here? I'm not sure. That's why I said I wasn't going to play with it, but it did pop up a little bit, 2%. But oil, 7% pop up is pretty big. Gold, silver, and platinum have fallen, and that looks like they're coming down to a support level, and we're going to get a little bit of a closer look at that as well to see what's going on in more detail and how those are falling out. And then we're going to take a look at the indexes, and we're going to see how they are doing, as well as we can take a look at some of the individual sectors. Like this is the communication sector, which I expect should have some sort of turnaround, and it was looking like it was going to pull up again. Meta is down, it looks like, overnight. Google's down a couple points. Meta's down literally just like $5. Google's down like $3. Verizon, though, is flat. And that's what I was looking for, is the companies like Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, they were kind of beaten up recently, and they've pulled back to like 200-day support levels. Comcast is even below there. I believe T-Mobile as well. They're looking pretty ripe for a turnaround. So I'm looking at those. Look at Netflix. Netflix is at 103. They hit a low of 75, and I think they're ready also for some sort of turnaround. EA Sports looks like they're at a support level around 200. Um, Charter Communication is holding steady at 216. So there's a number of these communication stocks that actually do look pretty good. Let's see if we can't find some more that we want to take a look at. And the best way to do that might be to take a look at like what sectors are moving up, and then narrow our focus. You could see that industrial supplies has been on a general trend upward in the last hour. They did pull back just a little bit, probably with this news. Communications, like I said, it had, look at this V dip that it did. The communication sector totally like dipped down, and then it's really working. It's recovering now, and it's sitting at a support level. So I'd like to see the communication sector kind of come back from here and continue its recovery. Energy took a big hit. Energy came back down all the way to 58. Um, just to put it in, just to put it up there, we were trading energy. I'm gonna zoom out to the 4 hour here, and we bought energy around here, sold it around here, and now it's back down to here, right? So what are these here? I think I bought it in the 50s and then sold it at 60s, and then it dropped back down now to the 57 level. So you could see that energy is continuing this like sort of trend upwards, but right now it's on a downward trend. So those that sold it a little bit higher, around 61, 62, you did really well. And then it's going to present another buying opportunity. It would, maybe down here in the 54 level for energy before I would say it's going to go all the way back up. But look at that. I mean, we have right now this big spike. It's a back up to 58. And it does have the potential to continue going up from here. So if we break, I'd say if we break above, let's say this 58 level, if we break above 58, yeah, it might be possible that the energy continues to go up. So then let's say if we're looking at energy and we're thinking that energy might go up, what do we look at in energy? And then, you want to pull up like your charts and see if you have like an energy chart, right? And so the energy companies are generally like ExxonMobil, Chevron, ConocoPhillips. So here's in behind me, you could see now a chart of a bunch of the different energy companies and where they are. And you can see that ExxonMobil pulled back nicely. It had a very nice trend. It was all the way at 180. It's pulled back to 154. And now it pulled back to actually lower, 152. And then today it's up to 155. So it's up $3. The same chart. Look at this. Like, you could see behind me everything, they all basically look the same, any one of them. So it's pretty interesting. Schlumberger is a little different. You could see up on the top, it's my right, but it might be your left. And Schlumberger is a little different from those other ones, but as well as Baker Hughes, you could see their chart just slightly different, but more or less very similar, all of the energy companies. Okay, so yeah, Schlumberger is where I am, just on top of me. All right, now, so we looked at energy, and energy is looking pretty good today. Let's look at some of the other sectors and go from there, right? Okay, so now Where is my sector map chart? Actually, this is my buy list. These are the things I'm interested in buying. We'll bring those up later. But let me go back to some of these sectors here. And we were looking at, let's say, before we were just looking at, now we were looking at energy, and we were looking at communications earlier, right? So go back to communications just to show you again. You have Meta, Google, Verizon, AT&T, right? And now we're going to take a look at some of the other sectors as well and see how they're doing performance-wise, right? So I'm just going to pull up some of my watch lists. So now it's interesting on one of my scanners, it just popped up, and usually it doesn't pop up pre-market, but the SQs, the short on the Nasdaq, is coming up as a possible entry today. So that's pretty interesting. You're looking at the daily, and it's saying that based on this daily chart, it thinks that the market might rebound. Well, the SQs might rebound. The market will not. This is the short of the Qs. So that's an interesting thing that it just kind of pulled up. I didn't expect that. Okay. I hope everybody had a good weekend, by the way. Did I close that window by accident? It's entirely possible. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. All right. Let me pull up another chart, and we're going to take a look and see how that one's doing. Okay. Let's detach this one. And hey, this is a good little lesson on how you can manage your charts. You can always make extra ones, right? So we have, for here, for example, I have, this is my daily, but I can have things like my sector watch. And this will give me my different sectors now. Okay, great. So let's take a look, and we can see there's a lot of red, right? So again, industrials, they're down just slightly, but only slightly. Communications is down slightly, like a few cents. Energy is slightly up. Financials, this is going to be the interesting one. Financials are flat so far for the day. Technology is down $1, but the trend is good. The financials, I don't know why this is not looking so good. We're going to take a look at that in a second. Consumer staples is holding. The healthcare sector is holding at a few cents down, but really it's holding. You can see that it's at some level of support. It's at the point of control, or it's at 146. So it's just above that. And that acts like a magnet. Utilities are basically flat since last week. It's on a nice upward trend. But if oil goes up, they might come down a little bit. I don't know. Industrials, we can see industrials are down $1. XLI is at 171 right now, maybe a little bit under 171. And we have the Select Spider consumer staples. So consumer staples is also mostly flat. Let me pull up this financials XLF, because that one is looking a little concerning. So here we can go to here. I made one. Hopefully I made one already for XLF. If not, I can make one. Okay, I don't have one here for XLF, but it's actually easy enough for us to make. And I can show you how I do that, actually. Would you like to see and join me on how I do this adventure? All right, we're going to do that. But let's take a look. Before I go too deep into XLF, I do want to pull up some charts and take a look at my dailies so that we have a better idea of what's going to happen today. Let me zoom in to the 1 hour, and we're going to pull up the Russell. And let's just get some levels for the day on the Russell. And it looks like right now we are at 2,631 roughly on the Russell. That puts us about here if I was drawing a line on my page. So that's about here. You can see that's near the bottom of the value area. Now, over the last hour, you could see we've been on a downward trend since basically the close Friday and kind of pull down. And you can see this little channel 1 is pointing down, aiming at 2600. I would say that that would be a real target for today on the downside, is to look for 2600. Now, if we see a break below, let's say this 2617 down to 2600, I would start playing that short. Definitely, if we continue up, then the top side is probably around this 2660, right? That would be about the top side there. I would say, it for today. So let's see if we go above or below this range that I kind of am blocking out now. That would be the range for today, and we can make some colors and say, hey, watch out for today. And if we see it go, across these levels, and I'll make it like really painfully obvious with this big obnoxious pink line or whatever. And if I zoom out, and then I can move these over, maybe even just shift it. Let's just shift this over so we have some room for the day. But you basically see this is going to be what our range is, right? So now if I zoom in later and I want to trade, I can see a little bit more clear that pink line, that's where I am. That's my range, and that's what I expect. So if I'm up here, I might come down here. If I'm down here, I might go back up to the top. I don't necessarily think that we're super duper strong. But look at this. The Russell right now does look like it's trying to recover in the last few minutes. Look at that, right? So we had that big push down. What time was that? That happened. It dropped when the market opened. So as soon as the market opened, it dropped to 2600. Then at around 2 a.m., that's when it looks like the market started to rebound. And since 2 a.m., it's been on an upward trend. So maybe we'll see some sort of recovery. I don't know. It looks like we're heading right into this level. So just be cautious. We're pre-market open, so anything can happen. Sometimes the prices shift around before the market opens, hunting down open trades. So let me see if I can show you an example of like where there might be buys and what's happening with this. I have something called Bookmap, and Bookmap has the ability to show you where purchases are. So it'll show you little dots and lines where you can expect to see different people bought and where their open orders are. So now here are the dots. You see the dots behind me, and you have the green dots are buys, and the red dots are sells, I believe. But there's the orders using this like pattern at the top. Red means like the bigger orders, black is no orders, right? So you could see there were orders if we're sitting here, and it's the market's kind of going to fill them. It could be a little confusing because there's a lot of lines and there's a lot of things going on, right? And you could tell right now, like we're only looking at the last 3 hours, right? It's not going to really give us many days worth of information on this chart, but it is giving us a few hours worth of information. And you can see now, if I pull this way just a little bit, I shrink the screen, you could see there were orders sitting here at 2635 all along, right? All along at 2630, there were big orders sitting. All along, there were orders sitting at 2624. Not so much down here. You could see that the orders moved as this moved up. Here they moved up as they moved up. Here they moved down. So those were not core orders. those were just kind of sitting there, and we're looking to see where it's going to go. So now look, you right now on the right side, we have big orders up at 26.35, and we've got a lot of big orders down here sitting at 26.20, and and these have been pretty consistent. 26.15, you can see there's a level. 26.12, there's a level. So these are levels. There's a lot of volume up above us. We may just pop up, clear these levels, and then come back down. That's always a possibility. So remember, like, the market is going to react to where it sees the money is. So if the money is there and they want to be able to grab it, they'll push the prices up or down. And I say they, I mean the market itself will push the prices up or down to clear out those numbers and then go and continue on a normal direction, right? That's what you could see is happening here in the middle. I don't know if I'm blocking you, but let me just to make sure I'm not blocking the screen. But yeah, what you could see in the main screen there is that you have right here, you have a peak, right? So it kind of, let me move out of the way. It came across, then it jumped up to grab those orders, then jumped down to grab those orders, fill those orders, and then it's returning to go on its normal course, right? So that was that. This I call it a heartbeat sometimes. It goes up down like that, and it's just clearing out orders that were sitting there, and they want to just make a little bit of money and clear them, right? Okay, so that's what's going on with the Russell over there, and I think you could see then on this chart how it's sitting in on the 5 minute, and as we compare it, if we zoom out a little bit more to the 1 hour, you see we're at the bottom of the value area still, but we're trending upwards. Channel 2 and 3 are both positive, looking for a 2 and a 4% gain. That's pretty good. I mean, that would be really good. So let's see what happens with the Russell. Okay, let's take a look now at the Dow, because if we're going to do anything, we're going to do some industrials today. Let's see what the industrials are doing. And we see channels 2 and 3 are still positive. Channel 1 is down. Generally like that. It's at a support level of 47,568. That's where I have a support level. Currently, we're at 47,000. Bottom of the value area with a trend going up, but news pushing it down. So we're down 400 points for the day, but I don't suspect that it's going to stay this way. And let's see what happens. If we zoom in on the 15-minute, you could see basically Friday, we've been on a downtrend since Friday with some sort of bottom that we've tried to recover this morning around 6:45 a.m. So let's see. You could see Sunday, as soon as the market opened, we plummeted down. Then we tried to recover back to almost the 48,000 level. We were not able to. We came back down to where we opened, and now it looks like we're trying to build our way back up to the open. So a lot of this looks like it might just be news driven, and not to freak out too much, but this is what's going to happen. Okay, so what will we look for today on the numbers? If we wanted to trade the Dow, we're going to look here. So I zoomed out onto the 4 hour just to give us a wider perspective, and you can see in a way we were on a nice upward trend. This war, we're pulling it back. We came back down to support. We're moving our way up. Now, on the 4 hour chart, all of our channels are positive, 1, 2, and 3. We're at a support level on the trend line. Look at that. We're above the value area and we're going north. So it looks very tasty and tempting that this might continue going up. Having said that, we do have a point of control that is a bit lower at below 47,000. And given the way the market has been moving, it's not without possibility if this war is a little bit more protracted, the news doesn't go well today, we can head back down toward that direction. So let's look at the hourly and just see what we look at on the hourly. I have this marked out the bottom of around 47,630. And and let's put in a channel so that we can see what we're going to do today. My range is actually a little bit higher though, right? So I have a support level that's a little above where we are, and we're below the hourly trend line. So, it's a little concerning. This would be an area that I would consider normally buying because my channel 1 is down, my channels 2 and 3 are up. Interesting. On the daily, channel 3 is still positive. Channels 1 and 2 are kind of mixed, with point of control being lower. So I'd say we head lower to get to the point of control. But I'm sorry, let me zoom in a little bit more. Let's put out some lines so that we have support. Well, right now we can see the bottom support. If we break below 47.6, that would be negative for the day, and then we're going to clear this gap all the way down to this like 46.750. If we continue what we're doing now, meaning if we break above 47.9, then we're going to continue going up, and I like that. So what I would say is, at the moment, I'm not really confident to say what we're going to do, but I'd like to see us hit some other levels and give us evidence of what we're doing. On the hourly, it does look good, but we do have this big area where we could drop, and that's a big drop, right? That's another 1% to hit this green line, which is at 47,000 roughly, and that would be a stronger support. So let's see, we might work our way down to 47,000. So if we break below this this level of 47,568, we're going to head down even lower. If, on the other hand, again, we break above 4,800, we're looking like 47.8. Then we're looking gold on the upside. Okay, let's take a look at the ES and the NASDAQ. So let's take a look at the ES. The ES is right now at 68.25. We've got support, I see, a little bit lower, 67.50 I have marked out. Again, channel 1 is meeting channels 2 and 3 there at 67.50. So that's where I'd like to see some support. We have been holding the 6,800 level. So what I would say is, if we break below 6,800, then we're negative for the day. If we go above 68.35, then we might be looking long for the day. And we already have that marked out, and you can see we've been just trading in this tight range. So where we opened up at 68.60, we closed at 68.60, let's say on Friday, we opened up 67.70 on Sunday. We're back midstream at 68.09 is the point of control. We're right on top of that, actually, at 68.27. So do we pull back, hit the point of control, and then make our way back up to 68.62? That might happen. So a lot of this is going to be based upon not so much as what I think the market is going to do, is just how I'm going to react to the market based on what I see happening. Right now, I see we're pushing up at 9 a.m. to the top of this value area. And, does that mean we're going to break above and break through to the upper value area and cross that gap that's really visible right here? I don't know. That I don't know, right? So what I would say is, like, we could map it, draw it, and say, if we see it enter this zone, then that might be an indication it can continue racing through it to get to the other side. But generally, I would prefer to buy in the bottom of the value area, ride it to the top, and then let it continue, because this can happen. The downward movement can happen pretty quickly. But we still have the RSI is still looking positive. The it's not overbought yet on the 5-minute, so we're still okay. And if we want to look at the book map version of this, let's take a look at the book map version. And this should give us, again, we can pull in the next past few hours. And you can see starting around 8:30, bunch of orders jumped into the market, but those are new, right? Those weren't the ones that were persistent. The persistent ones, 68.30, 68.25, you can see that. There was a very long-standing order at 68.20. Big orders used to be sitting at 68.07 or 6800, and those look like they got filled and they got pulled out. Or these got moved up. These got moved down. So 6800 is a new level down here. 6800, 6812, you can see there's a lot of activity. These will get filled. Look at this. Look at all of this activity. It's gonna heartbeat. You can see, right? We had the heartbeat here where it clears out those orders. So look at this. It'll probably come back down to this 68.15, right? And then like clear out all those orders, and then go back up, maybe. Or maybe it'll go up. I don't know. Size of the bubble tells you how many orders were filled, and bigger bubble, more were filled. Now let's take a look at the cues. How's the NAS doing? Okay, so I don't have as many lines on this chart. It might be easier for you to read. Again, very similar to everything else we've been looking at. There is a bottom of about 29.40, and I can move. I can say that I have charted this out to this 28.76, right? And then we're crossing that value area. So the story we were telling earlier with S&P looks like the same story that's going on with the NASDAQ. If we break above this 25,120, which we did, right? It continues, crosses this gap and gets all the way up to the bottom of this value area, which is 2520. Then we would hope it crosses and continues the value area and gets back up to the 25,300 level. So I'm going to target 25,300 today on the long side if it goes long. If it breaks down and we come back down, we're going to hit the 25,000 level as the point of control, and that'll be our magnet to the bottom. If we continue below there, that's the indication that it's going to be a negative day. We have not been, excuse me. Excuse me. We have not been really moving very wide these days. And you can see the trends have been very much sideways the last number of days. We do have we have this little bit of a move down over the couple weeks ago, but it came right back. And then the last number of sessions, like we go sideways, then we go up or whatever. But you can see, let me just make a box, right? You can see we went sideways. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, right? Let me duplicate that. Here we went sideways, like 5 sessions. Duplicate that. Here we've been going sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. So does it mean that we're going to break out of this pattern? I don't know. Is this going to be that we're going to break out of this sideways area? Could be. But what I'm looking for is to either break above the box or below the box and then see what direction we're going. But I'm not going to try to play the area in the box because there's just not enough room. So let's take a look at oil real quick. We'll come back to some of the other stuff. Oil popped up over 100. Again, look at this. Sideways. Just lots of sideways movement. We had this big move up based on different news events and trends, but oil had come right back down because we can't support it. It's not financially supportable by the economy, so it came right back down. And zooming out on the week, you could see we had this long downtrend, and when it broke up all the way up to the top, came almost all the way back down. Look at this. This is crazy range, right? So right now we're up here. We're back up near the top, this is like 22 levels. It won't stay here. It won't stay. It might pop up again a little bit more to like the 120 range, like we did. Like, could it? Could, but then it'll come back down. It always does. I mean, it has in the last number of years. So, I think this oil shock is going to be temporary. However, it will send the economy for a spin, and I don't think we're going to do well long term. We're gonna have some market instability that they're not talking about yet. I would be looking to generate cash. That's really what I would be looking to do. Just have money on the side so that when the market goes to hell, you have powder that you could fire. Dry powder for the cannon. Let's look at SPY. Just pull in on a little closer look to SPY, because if you trade SPY, I know you want to see that. And again, just pointing out, the possibility of the pullback is that, when the initial Russia-Ukraine war happened, we pulled back about 120 points. The previous pullback was 120 points. The tariff news was 120 points. Does the Iran war make us pull back 120 points? So far, we have not pulled back the 120 points like we did with the other ones. We did spike down to go about halfway of that length. So we went from 700 all the way down to, 630. Okay, so let's say from 700 to 630 is, well, the math is about 70 points. Roughly half the distance of the other falls. Now, the other falls were, you could see this was just a tail. We didn't have the body down here, right? Most of it was between 540 and the fall was 600. So it was a 60-point fall was the main body of the fall. Again here, even though the fall was protracted over a number of months, the initial fall was only down to about 400, and it started at about 450. Again, 50, 60 points. That seems to be the norm, but then it can continue, right? That's the problem, is that it can continue down. So what we may see is a protracted movement down on the S&P, possibly towards 600. Again, right now we're at 676. So I'm not saying, or 676, I'm not saying why it's going to happen. I just think that it might happen. It could happen. This is a possibility. And that's how I'm going about that. So if that does happen, I want to be prepared. Because if you buy when it's down here, right? Look at that move up. Isn't that crazy? Think about it. If you bought when it went below 500 on the last tariff announcement, it came back to 700. That's a really impressive move. And it did not take that long, right? Okay. So that's what I'm saying that we should be doing. We're going to have money in the bank waiting. When we see these big pullbacks, that's when we got to buy. When we see blood in the street and everyone's crying that the world is going to end, you have to have cash ready to buy. Okay. So 9:15, we got 15 minutes before the market. Let me zoom back in on the fives. You can see what we're doing here. Again, we're not crossing this gap yet, but we're trying to. So we're sitting right here at the top of the value area on SPY, looking like it wants to go back up to the previous level. So if we break above the 676, good possibility we continue. So now, Sean, if you're trading, right, and you're going to play long, don't trade it for 5 cents, right? We're going to sit there and hold it, buy it at 676, give yourself a contract that has enough time, and then you're going to sell when it hits 680, okay? Like, you're going to make those $4 on SPY, if you're going to trade it. Now, if we're going on the short side, I'm going to look for a break below 674, and then we'll have to find another target. But assuredly, we could find targets if we break below 674. There is not a lot of support all the way down to 658. That's a very scary fall. So I don't know that we're going to fall all the way down there, but we could target this lower area of the value area, which would be on the 670 level. So it could be another 4 points down, let's say. So if we go up, we're looking at 680 as a target, breaking above 676. If we go low, we're breaking below 674, and we're going to target about 671 or let's target 671 as 672 actually, just to be safe, as our target exit. Okay, so we're going to target $2 down, and we're going to target a few dollars up and see how that goes for today. If we're going to trade the Qs, some similar sort of situation. If we break below the 605 level, then I'm looking for us to continue down to 602, 603. If we go above where we are, and it looks like we might, at 608, this might be a buy, and we might continue from 608 to 611. So you might have a couple dollars there. That would be really great to see the market rebound like that. Okay. Now, one of the things I'd like to do is, I don't know if you guys have any questions or any thoughts about what you'd like to see me cover today. I'm happy to try to address whatever you have. Like if you have any questions or whatnot. Let's see my status. Did it go up? Okay. I love this show. Exactly, no one watches. But that's okay. That's not why I do it. I do it for me. So let me take a look. There's a couple of stocks that I wanted to kind of start looking at and talking about between what we do, right? And that and so where do we find some of these stocks? So I look in different places, of course. Oddly enough, I tend to look I spend a lot of time on Twitter, but I do also take a look at Instagram just because I'm on there anyway. So there's a couple of things I wanted to go through, and this looks like these might be these are going to be interesting things for us to look at as far as the economy going forward. Okay, now this is going to be a much larger picture kind of talk. So we're going to look at what are the companies that are critical for moving forward in AI, in photonics, basically, and in computing power. Now, I believe if you've experienced anything in the near recent years, you've understood that AI is coming for your job, right? So, but it has to be powered by something, and we're going to take a look at what it's being powered by. NVIDIA being one of them. NVIDIA faces a lot of pressure. It's at 186 right now. It has a high it had a high it put in of 212, but it's been ranging, and you could see this range has been 190 on the top side and 170 on the bottom side, and that's been going on for months, since July last year. It's just been going sideways. It will break out, buy down at the bottom, sell up at the top if you want, or what you could do is, if you have enough money, you buy 100 shares when it's down here, sell the call when it gets up here, and you do the rinse and repeat kind of thing. There is a lot of pressure on NVIDIA from the competitors, but it's just such a great company. Now, having said that, I kind of like Taiwan Semiconductor because they are the ones that are actually making the chips, right? So NVIDIA might design the chips and sell them, but Taiwan is the one that's manufacturing them. I think it has a lot of potential there, and you could see they're kind of high at 370. They're really high. They do have earnings coming up, so what I would say is let's see what happens in 3 days. They have earnings. Trade it afterwards. If you have it, great. If not, I wouldn't be getting in here just because I'm not buying tops. That's just, I get nervous to do that. But another part of that connection is Cisco, right? Cisco's another part of that connection. Cisco's a very slow mover. I used to trade Cisco or hold it. I just don't see a lot of movement. I think you could see I trended out, where it's going between the 70s and 80s. I think there are other plays. This is just one of those consistent ones, right? So this is going to be one of those that are going to just sit there and hold and continuously go up, but very slowly. Broadcom, I think, is a great company. You could see that it rebounded price-wise. It had fallen to about 285 and then jumped all the way back up to 380. Now it's pulling back to 365. This is great long-term. I would prefer to get in the 320s, but this does have potential to turn around and continue going up. Again, this is the glue, the infrastructure for AI and for computing. Okay, let's look at there's a couple of other ones. Now let's look at the optical connectors. So now what are optical connectors? Well, if you have all these computers or components, connecting them with wires is slow compared to connecting them with light. AAOI, Coherent, and Lumentum are three companies that connect these components with light. So they are going nuts. They're at 150 right now. They're all the way at the top on their daily. Could they continue? Maybe. I don't know. It's a little too hot for me at the moment. I would prefer to buy them down here in the 85 range and maybe let it see go back up. But right now it's a little bit too hot. Let's look at Coherent. Coherent, same sort of picture. It's at 307. Again, it shot the moon, and I would be looking closer to get in at the bottom of the value area around 240. But it's an interesting play. If you have it, I would take some profit just because it seems high, but I don't know. And then there's Lumentum, which I don't remember if it's LUMN. I don't remember the symbol for Lumentum. I have to look that up. Let's see if we can look it up. Lumentum. Lumentum is LITE. I should have remembered that. It's light. And wow, look at Lumentum. They're at 890. They were all the way up almost at 960, and now they're at 890. Again, I would like to see them closer to 670 to get in, and I would look for a long from there. But wow, this one is crazy. Do you see that chart? That's insane. But that's just to show you how much it's needed. So any pullback we're looking for, you're going to add that to your long-term portfolio. Let's take a look at Credo. What does Credo do? Credo does connectivity for the providers. They're $90. Looks pretty good. 120, a little bit high. Not depending on what you're looking for, but right now on the dailies, channels 1, 2, and 3 are down, but we are above the trend line. On the 4-hour, let's see what we have. 4-hour channel 1 is up, so you could see 120. We're at the top of this value area, but close to the bottom of the next value area. So could we trade spots and continue back up to 170? It looks very possible. So we could be looking long on Credo. Not bad, anywhere between 100 and I'd like to get in closer to the 100 level, but let's see if we break above here, could continue going long. Just depends on your time frame, right? If you have patience, you're gonna do much better. Let's look at Marvel. Wow, Marvel Technology took off. It's at 130. It's up today. Oh wow. So Marvel is also one of those connectors, and you can see on the weekly they are really high. This is a little concerning for me. When things get this high, it it tends to want to come down. What's Astera Labs? Astera Labs. That's another one. Astera. 150. Now, their weekly range went from 113. Now we're all the way back up to 150. It's a really big range. We've gone up. If we look at this chart, let's see, and we just start drawing some lines, because lines are pretty and they don't always mean something, but you can see a big triangle there. Okay, the bottom of the triangle is your support level. What we're going to look for is buy somewhere down here around below 100 and then wait for it to go back up. I am not a buyer at this trend line, right? Because I want to see it break through and break above. So when I zoom in now on my hourly, you could see we got to the trend line. Are we going to break through and continue? I don't know. On the 1 hour, it looks like it's very possible, but I would not be buying tops. And that's my problem. I don't like to buy the top. Sometimes it feels like the top, but it's not the top. So I don't know. It is something for us to keep an eye on, though, I think. We have some other foundries like TSMC. Let's see, take a look at TSMC. Sorry, TSEM, Tower Semi. So we've got Tower Semi. It's pulling back. It's at 2.0. Well, actually, yeah, it's pulling back. And that's, we've got support at around 200 and then long over 209. And we're looking at our daily. Again, we're very high on Tower Semi. I don't really like that to buy up here. I find it scary. I'd prefer to buy down at 130 rather than at 200. Just a little bit high, a little bit high for me. Market just opened. Let's take a look at the Dow, see what we're doing on the Dow. All right. So the Dow is down 300 points, but when we were looking earlier, that is not the worst thing in the world. It looks like it's coming back. We had this dip down and we've been working our way back up. So let's see if we can continue working our way back up here. So Trump blocked the Strait of Hormuz, and the Iranians are saying, "Okay, great, yeah, we're willing to talk now." That's pretty funny. So what else looks good for us to talk about today? So I'm just watching the Dow at the moment. You can see it's kind of holding here. Let's pull up the bookmap version of it so you can get to see what that looks like. And you can see we're gonna try to fill some of these orders. We had these big bubbles here. Look at that, those big bubbles filling orders that are just sitting there. We got like 5 minutes for this opening range to kind of see where those orders are gonna fill and where we're gonna go. And you can look at that line. You can see we've just been trending upwards, big heartbeat up, We went to fill those orders, and then we came right back down. Let's take a look at the ES. It's always exciting in the morning. Looks like Amazon is trying to hold. That's good. Okay, the S&P has a little bit of different picture. Look at that. Nice trend up. We filled a bunch of those orders up there. Now we're coming right back down. That's why we're going to give ourselves at least the first 5 minutes to see what happens and how do we fill that range. You could see a little bit on this side here. We didn't have many orders. They just kind of came in. So this, I would say, is part of that gap. That's why I don't trust it, right? I trust more of the orders that have been sitting here. Maybe it's going to come back down to 68.15 and try to fill those. Let's see. If I look at SPY, because I know my buddy Sean likes to trade SPY, so let's look at SPY and how would you do that with SPY? So if we were looking at SPY with this, it's kind of loading. Again, you see there were orders up there at 677.92, but a bunch of orders sitting down here at 676.80. They've been just kind of straight there along there. And I think if you target that area, good chance we're going to hit that at some point this morning. Good chance we stay where we are at some point in the day. So you can see this long, just a lot of orders have been sitting there. And now they're being filled. They were here. So here we are, 1 minute, setting the range for the day. So SPY is trying to move up, pulling back just a little bit right now, but you can see it's trying to move up. Okay, maybe we won't have a terrible day at all after all. We've entered into that orange box. Just checking to see how much margin you need. You would need about $3,000 margin to trade the mini ES. $1,400 margin to trade the Russell. The Dow, $1,800. And the micro NASDAQ MNQ, you need about 4,800. Okay, so depending on how much margin you want to use or you have available, that's what you could use to trade. If you're trading, let's say SPY, it doesn't really matter as much, right? SPY won't make as much of a difference. Let's take a look. I want to just point out some things that came up on scans recently that I was looking at, and let's see if this watch list has anything else on it. Nope. Still pulled up SQQ as a trade, meaning it thinks that the Qs are going to go down and SQs are going to go up. Oh, okay, cool. It's pulling up some new ones for us to take a look at. It's looking at the daily tech bear, and so it's saying that it thinks technology is going to go down. So like, let's take a look at that. XLK, it thinks XLK is going to go down, and it's down slightly, so it's showing up the reverse. Now, on the other hand, oil and gas exploration is up. Prairie Operating Company, it's giving me that as a potential long-term target up. Looks like that's a terrible chart. I don't like that chart at all. That's terrible. Okay, we're gonna avoid these because I don't like these charts. They may have some potential on like an hourly or something like that. So you can see on the hourly, it does look like prop has the ability to go back up to a couple dollars. You could buy, it's cheap at $1.50, and you're like, oh well, I could buy 100 shares and it's not going to cost a whole lot, but you might lose $50. I don't know, you might make $50. It's a gamble. They did have earnings. They passed the earnings. Um, they were they blew earnings out of the water. They were positive. They were estimated to be at a loss. I don't really know why they pulled back so hard. Um, we can take a look at the news, but I don't think there's anything in the news that's. Um, they're going to do a stock offering. That's what it is. They're going to do some sort of stock offering, convertible stock offering for preferred holders. Let's see what the number is. That might make the difference, right? So mm, 3 million cash reduction of the warrants. I don't have to look at it maybe a little further, but that this is the reason the stock pulled back so hard. Does it mean though that it may continue going back up? Might be. That might be, right? So 4 hour chart, we're down here at $1.50. This is a gamble. This is one of those, is this an opportunity? It's up 3% today. I mean, make 3% in a day and you're really happy. That's great. If you can make 3% every day, that would be wonderful. Make 1% every day, that'd be great. So does this have the potential to turn around and make some money? That interesting. That's all I'm saying. Interesting on that. Prairie Operating Company. Okay. Some other ones to just take a look at that had come up in previous scans. Ingersoll, was this the ING real estate income? This looks like it's working its way up. It came down all the way to $4.15, and I think it's working its way back up to $5. So I would like to see it hit $5. I think Western Union was looking interesting. They're at 884. I could see room for them to go up. I picked them up, I think, when it hit the value area of around 7877. And I think that you can you have room to go up from here. So long term is really more where I'm looking at on this, and I'm looking at least to get back up to the 9.5 level. But Western Union, I think they have a price target of around 11 or so. So you could see that even so, my channel 3 is targeting 10.5. That's about 15% up from here. So if I could just make a few more percent off of this, I have a few percent already made. If I can make a few more percent, that would be great. If not, then I'll be looking to take, to take profit soon if it doesn't cross above this value area. But I do expect it to go above the value area. Look, the daily chart is positive. We just have channel 1 that's on the downtrend. And if we go into the hourly, you could see again this channel 1's down, but the other 2 channels are up. So it is positive, and it does look oversold. So Western Union is interesting. Ondas has been doing relatively well. I like buying it below 10, and I think it's going to make its way back up above 10. And you can see it was at 11.5, almost 12. I think, what did it hit? 11.8. So Ondas is an interesting play, and you can definitely play the swing on Ondas. We're at the bottom of the value area. Yeah, it could go lower. It could go to about 8, but I don't think so. Ondas is a drone company, and they should be doing well. So I would totally consider adding more Ondas here. Just saying. I'd be comfortable adding it. I put in a buy order for about 865. Let's see, maybe let's get in a little closer. Yeah, 875. I think we're 875. Sure, somewhere around here is pretty good. You don't have to be too targeted, but we're really pretty close. Within 10-20 cents from the bottom of this value area. So Ondas looks pretty good, down 3% today, but if this should do well. Let's take a look at DRN, the real estate, and I bought it when it bottomed down here at 8. It's back up here at 9. I'd love to see it hit 11. We're midstream. I'm ready to basically take my profit on that and call it a day. It pulled back just a touch today, 1%, but that did pretty well. What I like about it is, when you look at what was in it, it had really good assets to trade. So those were all looking very long and positive. Things like O Realty are in there, and it has very good potential. And you can see O had this big turnaround. It came all the way down to 60. It's now at 63, on its way back up. Right? It's down only 0.75% today, but it does look good. And it has a price target of around 70, right? So that's not my price target. That's the industry. And that's aligns very well with my channel 2. My channel 2 is targeting $70, about 10% higher from here. Again, real estate, this is going to be slow. So that's where that DRN kind of comes in nice, is that the DRN is the 3 times bull. So hopefully you get, more percentage up on that. So that's what I'm looking for on DRN. I did buy Smuckers. It came up on my scan. It's not performing well. I'm down on the position. It's continuing to go down. I think I have to exit because it broke below 90, which was my bottom. But we are now, I think, Smuckers is just like really low. If you pull this chart out, look at this on the weekly. We're at almost the support level on Smuckers. So this is the danger zone here. There's a little bit of a value area gap between 89.5 and 82. But if it hits 82.5, 83, it could potentially make it all the way back down to the 70s. And I don't really want to suffer that. So I have a couple shares of it that I picked up literally, but I might just, take my lumps and walk away because I want to buy things on an uptrend. I don't mind buying the reversals, but what I'd like to see is at least on the hourly, we have a reversal up, and that disappeared as of last Thursday. Friday, we had a down day, and over the weekend, it continued down. So I'm not liking Smuckers at the moment. They do have, now, this is the crazy part. We're at 90. I don't understand why we're at 90. Their price target is around 130. 130 is their price target. Like, not even on the chart, right? Look. That's what they're saying they're going to go. So if I look at the weekly on Smuckers, they're saying that we belong up here, right? So look at that. I don't know. Are we at the bottom? Maybe this is the bottom, and they know better than we do, right? Because Wells Fargo has them at 125. BNP has them at 125. Deutsche Bank did lower it to 100, but Jefferies has them at 135, 133. TD Cowen has it at 103. There's definitely room. Bernstein has it as 120. Barclays also. So they're covered. They have a lot of coverage. They're definitely undervalued at the moment based on this. Why they're down, I don't know. There's no big news. ConAgra did appoint a new COO for one of their brands, or CEO. I'm sorry, ConAgra Brands appoints former Smucker COO John Braz as CEO. Oh, interesting. So he left Smuckers, but that shouldn't affect Smuckers. All right. So Smuckers is down, but I do expect them to turn around. Um, and depending on your thesis, there's a lot of room, and on a relatively stable company to go back up, because this is years. Don't forget, this is years of data. This is not just um, this year, right? Even here, we're looking at from 24 till now. The bottom has been 98. Now we're at 89, and the top has been 120. So we are going to go back up to 120. I know it. It's just time. Buy, hold, and forget you have it. USAS. So American gold and silver are down a little bit today, basically because of the war and the news or whatever. But it's down less than 1%. This is down 1.5%. Um, it does represent a potential investment here, right? Because since the beginning of 24, we've been on a trend up. It hit a high of 10, right? So it doubled, and from where we are now. So it does have the potential to continue that reversal. We're near the support level, right? This is like, 5 is the support level. So 5.5, we're 10% above the absolute support, but that's on the weekly level. On a daily level or an hourly level, the support really is at 5.4. So we're 10 cents above the support, maybe another 1% down, but that's it, like 1 or 2% down to 5.3, and it looks like it would be an interesting buy, USAS. So that's where I would be looking at that. Another one that came up last week was Elon Pharmaceuticals. They do um, animal veterinary healthcare, and they're up 1% today. Also, this was on my scanner from last week. It came up, and I think we bought it down at this 22 level, and we're at 23 and change now, targeting at least this 25 level for Elon right now. And we can keep going because it has price targets of about 30 by the professionals. So we might have room, but definitely we would take some profit as it goes up. Ingersoll Rand, that was another one that kind of came up last week on the scanner. We bought it at 78, and it's now up at 85. So we're doing pretty well with that also on the scan. The things that are hurting me today are more like Amazon's down just a little bit, but we saw that this morning. Otherwise, the market does look like it's trying to well, hold on as well as it can. Um, I don't know. That looks like some interesting things. Let's take a look at some other stocks to take a look at. All right, so now we've got. Oh, cool! My cousin was on the Nasdaq today. Is that it? Wow! Yo, shout out to my cousin. Check it. Nice, cuz. Awesome. Love it. I love it. That's awesome. Okay. So now, where are we? Let's go back in and take a look at some of the indexes and see how we're doing this morning. We've been coming back. We were down like 0.5%. We're only down like 0.1%. Gold is holding at 0.5% down. Silver's 3% down. Crypto is down about 3%. I'm looking for entries into Solana below 80. We were just about there. We were at 81 earlier. Didn't hit my mark. Copper is on its way up as well. That's been holding. It's actually flat today. One of the things that came up on the scan about a week or so ago was copper, and we bought copper at around 22, and it's now at, this one is at 30 and a half. And I think it's only going to continue going. I did sell a call on the position because I feel like um, there is some sort of ceiling, and if for whatever reason it breaks above the ceiling, I'm okay with that, because that means I made like 20 something percent on my money, and then that's fine, right? Like, I'm not going to be greedy and try to chase every last penny. So ERO copper is down a couple percent this morning, but that's okay because I already sold my call, and I think it's going to continue going. So there's that. Let's see if there's anything else in the news coming up right now. So let's see. There's nothing that I can say is like really moving the world at the moment, other than OPEC output, oil output. My concern is oil output, oil delivery will impact in the future everything, right? The price of goods, what's available, that's just not going to be an easy trade for us. Really does pull things down. So now let's look at the opening range here. You could see we opened at on the Dow. We opened, we moved lower, we moved up. I call that the heartbeat. We came back to normalization. We're in the middle of this range on the 1 minute. We don't have a clear entry. I would say it looks long. We're at an interesting level, but normally I like to see a break above the opening range, a test of it, and then I like to see it hold. If we don't, I'm not convinced that it's going to be a positive day, right? Because the day is already negative. Does it continue up? It might, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's take a look at the S&P. What's the S&P doing? What's SPY doing? Is SPY looking the same? So we marked out this area, and we said this was like a danger zone. We're at the bottom of that danger zone at 68.47. It looks like we might continue crossing above, so this would be a potential here for a long entry on the 1 minute. I like it. Long 1 minute S&P SPY. Let's go. Right? I don't have the cash to buy it, but I would. I think that it does look like a potential long there. Okay, so my yeah, interesting. All right. Let's look at the 5 minute. One thing we could do is could trade SPY. We could trade SPY, that's for sure. How cool. Okay. Let's see. The Dow. What's the Dow doing? Is the Dow doing the same dance? The Dow. Oh, nope. Okay. Why'd you pull up the wrong thing? I didn't even. There we go. Dow. Come back to the Dow. It's trying to push up. No, not 20. Just one would be nice. Let's buy one and let's run the market and see if we go up. I'm looking for us to hold this 47,854 level. If it breaks below there, we'll take our stop. I'll take our loss. If we go back up, I'm going to target that 4,800, 48,000 level. So you could see just like that. I mean, the market is kind of popping around. Um, Come right back up to this 47,920. I'm just trying not to cut my wins too short, but you could see like it should be within the realm of possibility to hit that and make like $20 or whatever that is. You can see it's kind of a little point of value right there. Come on. Come on. We're up $11. I know, big money, big money. But what you do is, you extrapolate this. You say, okay, if I can do this with one contract, I can do the same thing with 10 contracts, right? We're up $16 now. Can we make it? Can we make it? Can we make it? There we go. Come on, come on, come on. $20. Come on, $20. There we are. Ah, we just filled it. $22. Thank you very much. That is going to be pizza money. Okay, not very exciting, but that was a small little trade, pizza money, and it was fun. So thanks for hanging in there on that trade. Let's see if we have anything else coming up on my scanners. Nothing came up just yet. I did take that few dollar trade just for the fun of it. We'll see if there's anything else today. I don't know. It does look like it's going to continue though, right? It's going. It's going. I cut my win too short. I said to Sean earlier, right? As I'm broadcasting, I'm like, don't sell short, target your wins and whatever else. But look right there. That's where we are. We're at the bottom of this value area, trying to break over this trend line. So like we're trying to hold this trend line. Let's see if we can hold the trend line. I don't know. We're at 47,940. I see this is building to 47,910. But we're, the S&P is already positive for the day. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's see if we can't go up on the hourly. In the meantime, I'm going to take a real brief break. I'm going to just grab a cup of coffee, and I'll come right back and say hi to you folks. Just a second. Thank you. I announced you on the show. What's up, baby? What's up, baby? You hungry? Hungry? It's okay, honey. Okay, I'm back and we're down a little bit on the position, but not to worry, we're still okay on the hourly level, but I don't like where we are on the minutes. That's not good. Let's come back in on the minute. Let's see this. Are we breaking down or is this just a little pullback? Yeah, a little pullback. We're okay. We're okay. 47,840, we'll call that the bottom. If we break below there, then I'll start to worry. We got another 20 points. It's only $50 down. But this was my concern when I was saying earlier about trading that zone. You know, being in this zone, it's a little bit scary. So we just broke below the trend line on the 1 minute. You know, one of the things that's important to do, or be able to do, is it's important to be able to take a loss if you need to. You know, so we're going to keep an eye on this. Let's see. We're breaking above the 1 minute again. This would be a good entry if you're looking to enter. Better than my entry. But that's okay. Okay, so we got some new things coming up. Text came up as a possibility. The technology bear, the SQ's QID is a new one that popped up. Again, it's the short on the Qs. And then prop is still showing as a potential. Okay, it looks like the Dow is coming back a little bit. So that's good. Looks like Amazon is coming back. It pulled back a little bit earlier. Amazon is still monstering up. I like Amazon. That's a good company. Just in general, good company. So let's see. Amazon. Boop. Amazon. Amazon. Okay, sorry. You can see we pulled back a little bit over the weekend and we're going right back up on Amazon. It was a nice little buying opportunity on the 1 minute, but let's see what it looks like on the daily. Just to zoom out, Amazon's back up at 237, 238. It's really fixing its trend. It had pulled back to 200. That was a great buy. It zoomed up now, and I think we're getting close to the top of this value area on the daily, which would be an area to, you know, be concerned, right? Like it has to break above this now, and it tends to not, you know, do that lately. It's been going sideways since last July. So, you know, I might be comfortable taking some profit here, or I might be comfortable selling a call if you have Amazon. Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know what its price target is. Its price target's like 300. So if we zoom out on the weekly, just to show you where we are with Amazon, whew, could we get to 300? We could, but I don't see it happening like until another year or something. I don't know. I don't this trend line, right, over the last number of years, we went from, and I'm going to say this is baseline in 22, because this really just does trend up. I mean, if I let me edit this drawing to show you and extend. I have the left extension on. I'm gonna turn the left extension on. Look at that. It just goes all the way back, and you can see it's been following the same trend since 2012, right? It's just on this track. So on the high side, could it explode over? Yeah, it could. It could get up to like the 260, 270, but I don't think it's getting above 270 this year. And then maybe next year it'll continue, unless, yeah, it ain't happening. But that does mean that there's another like 20% or whatever that to go. Thing is that Amazon is such a diverse company, with robotics and with, with the robotics and with their AWS. Not only their commercial services, like, selling goods and whatever other stuff, and then they're adding, healthcare, and they're gonna sell cars one day. I don't know. Um, it's just, they're gonna get hit, I think, at some point with a, monopoly. I mean, they're just so big. I can't imagine they wouldn't. But I think we need to think about taking some profit here on Amazon soon, or at least pairing some profit. I might do that. All right, how are we doing on our Dow position? We're still kind of holding. Um, we're still kind of holding at that $40 loss on the open position for the day. Let's see. Profit for the day on that is trade is we made $20 before, so we're only down 20 technically, but, let's see. The S&P pulled back a little bit. Let's see. Come on, we could do it. Remember, Rob Schneider? You can do it. Yeah. All right. You can do it. Let's see. Um, let's see. Nasdaq is barely up today. It's up a tenth. Well, it's less than a tenth of a percent. The S&P is down. It's flat. Let's just call it flat. The Dow is down. The Russell is up. The Russell is actually kind of moving nicely. So we see that. Let's see. What's our oil doing? Our oil is still up. It's still over 100. Although I think it backed off. Yeah, it backed off from that 105. So that's good. Okay. And I think I'm looking for that 1030 like reversal boom up, like, good morning, we're going up again. Come on, guys. Let's see. What else is happening in the world? Anything new? Let's see. Median home prices. Median home prices have gone up. Northeast, 500,000 in 25. Wow, from 23 it was 430. It's now 500,000 in the Northeast. That's crazy. In the West, it came down a little bit this year, but everywhere else on the average, it did really bump up. Ooh, that's scary. Housing is just getting more and more expensive. It's really very, very difficult. Mm. Okay, so what else is moving today? Vertex Pharmaceuticals is up. Cisco is up. Those both came up on my scanner last week. Um, I had a couple other ones like Dexcom, McDonald's, Philip Morris. Philip Morris is up as well. Um, I'm buying ARC-X as well because I think ARC-X is poised to do well. That the call that I sold on ERO copper is up 30%, almost 26% now. Just going back, take a look at that. So, one of the things is that if you don't take profit, you really need to think about taking profit or selling calls or something like that. The Dow is working on recovering now. I'm only down about $24 on that position, so that's okay. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of those other things that I was mentioning. Let's look at ERO copper. So they're off 1% today, and so that I don't know, but the call that I sold is doing really well. So down on the copper, up on the up on the call. It's okay. They kind of balance each other out in a way, right? Let's look at Dexcom because I think Dexcom is interesting. Dexcom makes diabetic monitors. So this is one of those things that you just need to have. And I think we're in the buy zone on Dexcom. I labeled this out. I said, buy around 62. We're at 63 and change. A little bit higher than where I said to buy, but still in the area of the buy zone. And I think it has potential to go up to about 74. I don't have a price target on them. Let's see if I could find a price target from the industry price target. Goldman Sachs has a price target of 82. 82. That's more than 20% up. More. Okay? I'm giving you gold here, baby. Gold. Buy some Dexcom. I think it's going to hold. I think that'll hold. Let me pull up something else that I wanted to mention. McDonald's. McDonald's is kind of a boring one. They're down, I think, today, but they just do well. They're at a support level 302. They're at 304 right now. I think long term they're up, and if I had to find a price target on them, I think McDonald's price target. Where is it? McDonald's has a price target of 330, which is about 10% higher. But it also has a small dividend. So, if you could make that just long term, I think McDonald's is going to continue to do well. They've been, consistently over the years. And then we're talking, look at this, since 2012, consistently gone up. They've pulled back. This is a no-brainer in my mind. I see them going up to 340 easily. I think it's just a matter of time. Will it happen this year? I don't know. It may take a year or two, but you could see year over year. If you would have bought McDonald's, when it pulled back in 22 to 190, right? It went all the way up to 340. You could figure out the percentage on that, but that's a nice percentage gain in just a number of less than 5 years, right? So less than 5 years, it didn't quite double, but it went up like what, 50%. I mean, that's pretty good. So just in general, it's a safe bet, pays a little bit of a dividend. It's one of those things that you can add to your portfolio as a buffer, right? So when everything else is going to hell, this is going to be your buffer. Now, it depends what you're trying to do. If you're really trying to make alpha, meaning you're an aggressive trader, then McDonald's may not be the trade for you. But if you're a long-term investor, if you're in middle-aged or whatever, you might want to hang on to something that's a little safer, like a McDonald's. Philip Morris is another example. Philip Morris tends to go sideways for a period of time and then make its move up. And we can see that evidenced here on this chart. On the weekly, they have had weeks where they just went sideways literally for, it looks like, years. I can drop that drawing and replace it. And so if we would look for a repeat of that, then we're looking for 1, 2, 3, like 3-4 years sideways, but there's a bottom and a top. And so we're near the bottom at about 150 and the top is around 180. So there's a 30-point range. And if we would then, extrapolate this and say it's going to kind of do some weird thing, that could take place then the next 3 years sideways. So let's just see if we can play this rebound. It does have a profit target higher, so let me pull this. Oops, let's link this to the red. Philip Morris profit target is 195 from Stifel, and that was the latest one that was given. Argus has it at 210. So we're looking for a recovery here, and definitely higher than where we are now. At least 20%. We're looking for at least a 20% on Philip Morris. Let's look at Capital One Finance. Capital One Finance is also one that I've been monitoring. I bought a couple shares of it when it dipped down into the 170s. It came up on my scanner. It popped up now to the 200s, 190. And, it has the potential, I think, to continue. They have earnings coming up, so you might want to be cautious on that. You don't have to go heavy, but it might be something to consider. They're holding here at 190. If they hold here, that's great. And then you can look for them to continue. They have a price target depending on who we're looking at. RBC has them at 235. JP Morgan has it at 213. Wells Fargo targets 260. JP Morgan targets 213. So let's say 213 is our target. That's still more than 12% up on Capital One Finance. Plus they pay a little dividend. So it's one of those things you can kind of buy, hold, and again, acts as a bit of a buffer. The one thing I would be concerned about is their exposure to credit risk. That's the only thing I don't know about them. You see Comcast is down about 1% today. They've been going sideways, a little bit down actually in the number of trading sessions on the hourly, but on the daily, you could see that they have a long trend up. 27 3/4 was kind of their bottom for me. I'm a little cautious here. 27.4. Looks like it's heading down. I don't know what's going on with it, with Comcast, why they're pulling back. But they do have a profit target of about 34, which is 20% higher than we are right now. So we have a profit target at least 20% higher. And, I think that we talked about communications earlier in the show. if communications recovers, they will recover with communication, and communication's been going sideways, looking like it's going to recover. So, if we look at AT&T, for example, they also pulled back pretty significantly. They were up in the 30s. They're back at 25. I would love to buy more AT&T at 24 for sure. They pay such a nice dividend or whatever that I don't mind. Now, Verizon is another one, 45. Really an interesting buy point. They do pay a dividend. They just paid their dividend now. The percentage is pretty high. They increased their dividends, so they're one of the dividend kings. They're oversold. So that's where I was saying earlier, XLC looks interesting. Would I like to buy AT&T like 10% lower? Sure. Will it come down there? I don't know. If we look at the weekly, it does have the potential to come down to 40 because that seems to be like a natural price for it. I I don't know. I know I'm sounding like a little bit esoteric, but things follow a trend. We do have a long-term trend up. You can see this red line kind of follows the bottom of AT&T, and now it's at the top here. So this is that new trend. I'd like to see it pull back a little bit more, possibly to the 44 level. But you know, it might not be a bad buy to start adding, and that could be it. Because every time on the weekly it touches this line, even if it goes down a little bit below the line, let's say to 43, like $2 lower, then it comes back right back up. So Verizon looks, in that regard, very tasty. Plus, it pays that nice dividend. Going back to Comcast, they've been really beat up. So I'm looking for the same kind of thing with Comcast, that they're going to recover as well. AT&T, you could see they're much stronger. And we had a great trade in AT&T for a long time. We bought it in 21 when it was $12. And I think I got rid of it when it hit about 24. I think it doubled. I closed my position, but or 28. I mean, really, I rode it as much as I could, collecting the dividend along the way. It was a great trade. This is now looking like it's setting up for another interesting trade, perhaps on AT&T. Let's look at Vertex Pharmaceuticals. It also came up on my scan. And again, I charted this out that, my buy would be closer to 400. It's at 443 right now. But it does have that, potential to continue going. They have a price target of 600 by Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley. Let me just repeat that. Morgan Stanley says they're going to 600. I'm not going to argue with Morgan Stanley. So if they think it's going to 600, that's like a 25%, possible upside. Their earnings have been steadily increasing. So we have earnings coming up in May, and Vertex, it's on the trend to go back up. The 1 hour, the short daily trend is down, but the long daily trend is up. We are below the trend line, so it is a little bit of caution, and it is a very expensive stock, so I don't know how I would be trading that. On the hourly, all three channels are down, so just a little bit of caution. I would probably wait to buy it if you have it, and then otherwise, if you're willing to hold it for a while, I think it's a good long-term hold. If you have it and you're concerned, you could always take profit. That's also a possibility, but it does have very long-term possibility. And I struggle sometimes because if you look at the chart today, the chart would say take your profit, right? On the 1 hour, everything is looking negative, but we do have on that longer term that it's going to go to 600. So little nerve-wracking. Like, you could take some profit here, wait for a pullback, and then buy in again, or sit through the pullback and just wait for it to go back up. Um, hmm. If it pulls back to 430, we're talking about $10. It's not a very huge pullback, but that's like 3%, right? So, I don't know. I'm not saying sell it. I'm not saying buy it. I think we're at an interesting point here. I think if you break above here, it might be a good long, right? So depending on how you want to look at it, if you're in it already versus you didn't get in it, I wouldn't get in it here. I'd wait for it to pull back. If I'm in it, I might consider taking some profit and waiting for a pullback, and or just holding long term. If that's your MO, that you can do that. Not everyone can do that. May not want to. You might just want to be in and out and take that short term gain. AbbVie, another talking about healthcare. AbbVie is an interesting one because AbbVie pays a nice little dividend. Plus, they have a long-term trend up. They're down today just a little bit less than 1%, but they're paying their dividend. When is their dividend? In 2 days. I would buy some AbbVie if you have available cash. Buy it's $200. It's expensive. I'm not saying it's cheap, but long term, I like AbbVie. You could see their long term chart. They did pull back. They're at a level of support close to this 200 level, and then I think from there they can continue to springboard. If I did, let me redraw some of these channels because the channels have seem to have adjusted, let's say. So we can clear the chart and draw new channels. So if I'm drawing this trend line, I'm just drawing pretty pictures, but I'm trying to line it up with like the bottom of the wicks so that they line. It looks like they did. Let's duplicate this and see if it forms any sort of levels. And it tends to respect some of these levels, right? So we have this channel that's going up. The bottom would be a little bit below 200, about 190. And then we're going to look long for 250. So that's where we are with AbbVie. And I think, right here at 200, this looks like a really strong support. We're $5 away from it, with less than a couple percent away from the bottom. You buy it here, you hold, and go on with your bad self. I like it long term, AbbVie. Let's look at Cisco. This is another one that came up on my scan recently, last week. Came up a few days in a row. Cisco has been, it pulled back. I don't know if you can see it, pulled back all the way to 67. It's now at 73. And again, this came up on my scanner because it had this high in the 90s. So let's see what we have. Do we have a price target? Piper Sandler reduced their price target recently to 77. Citigroup has 73. Guggenheim has 90. So we're in the range for the profit target, it seems like, on Cisco. But one thing about Cisco is that they're a dividend aristocrat, meaning they've raised the dividend every quarter for the past number of years. So their percentage dividend is going up, meaning it's a strong company, right? I would like to buy closer to the below 70. I think it does have the potential, I think, to go higher. I don't, based on the chart. I don't know based on what the experts are saying. Based on what the experts are saying, they think we're at the price more or less. About 73 seems to be the average. UBS has them targeted for 90. And I think that makes sense based on the chart. But Piper Sandler really reduced it to 77. So, if you have a little bit of profit, just monitor this position. If you, I don't really know, what's going on with this company. I like the idea that this could hit like 80 or something like that. Let me just take a look at the daily and see what we have. And you could see on the daily, we're targeting 94, 95 on channel 3, which is about 25% higher. Even if we hit that 93 level, which is what one of the banks was targeting, that's another 20% up. Plus, you can, if we just got the dividend because it just paid a small dividend recently. Um, it's an interesting buy, right? You can see we've been holding this 73. So I don't know why they're so negative on Cisco, but I think it has potential. So I just bought like a couple shares just to see what's going to happen with it. Literally, just a couple shares. We looked at Philip Morris and McDonald's earlier, AbbVie, Vertex, Comcast, Capital One. We looked at ERO. Lilly is interesting. Lilly is something I've been watching and wanting to trade. It's just very expensive. And you could see we've been forming this wedge, this descending triangle. So I don't see until we get to the bottom of the triangle and then maybe go back up. But Lilly under 1,000, a lot of people say it's a buy. Accumulate Lilly under 1,000. Let's see what the price target is on Lilly. Do we have a price target on Lilly? Lilly has a price target of, depending on who you're looking at, right? So Morgan Stanley has them at 1,300, which would be way higher than we are now. I mean, and we're talking that's like 30%, right, or more from where we are. And Rothschild, I don't really know. They some of these smaller banks are, they price things to scare the market. I think, I don't know. Maybe they're right, but who knows? Bank of America has them at 1,300. So the big banks have them at 1,300. I think Lilly long term looks good. They have the issues with the GLPs and whatever else, but it's not their only product. So Lilly is sort of interesting. Let's look at Brookfield. What's Brookfield doing? Brookfield it looks like it has also a reversal on its trend. It's coming back up. What do we have as a target on Brookfield? Brookfield has a price target, let's say around 48. So back up to the top here. And on my daily, it doesn't look like it's targeting that, but it is, right? So on the top of that channel, let's see if I go into the 4-hour. Now the 4-hour is only pointing to 44 as a top, and so that's just a couple percentage higher. But if we're gonna say that couple percentage higher than 44, then 48 would be a nice 20%, right? Maybe less than 20%. 10% would be $4. So it would bring us 46. 15% would bring us to 48. So for Brookfield, that looks pretty good. Looks like fairly steady. Look at ARCX. I like ARCX, and I want to say why. And that is, I think space is going to be huge. So ARCX looks like it has potential to continue going. Right now, we're at 32. We're a little under 32. We hit 36 with the excitement of the Artemis launch. I would look for an entry a little bit lower, maybe even taking some profit here if you have it. Let the market reverse out and then go long again on ARCX. But it could also be just one of those long-term holds. What's Amazon doing today? Amazon's holding. It's at 236, down three quarters of a percent. My Dow position is coming back. We're only down $6 at the moment. So we're just going to let that continue and run for a little bit longer. I think we'll see some positive movement today. Google's up a little bit today, just a little bit. So right now we have the S&P, the NASDAQ are flat. The Russell's up about 1/3%. Natural gas is up about 0.8%. And the Dow is down 0.4%. Copper is up at 5.96, almost $6. I was saying that copper was going to get up there, and it has. So where are we with our ERO? Interesting. ERO is down even though copper is up. Okay. All right. So right now we've got almost all of our indexes are positive except for the Dow, the one that I'm in, of course. Solana is holding at 83. The Bitcoin's holding just below 72. It was at 70, a little under 71 before. Platinum and gold are both down about 1%. Silver is down a little less than 3%. And this is what I was looking at earlier, and I said that they were down, and I think they're going to come back at some point. But I was thinking that maybe gold might dip a little bit more before it reversed, or platinum. Platinum's a little expensive to play with, but it looks like they're trying to work on some sort of recovery. Platinum has a better 15-minute chart. The 30-minute on gold is showing, overall trend is a little bit down, but the near term is kind of reversing up. So we see that again, like if you see a lot of green, it's a good thing. The NASDAQ has a little bit of red on the longer term. It's been struggling a little bit, right? And so you can see that reflected in the 30-minute chart. The VIX has fallen nicely. This morning it was in the 20s. It's now below 20. So that's good. That's a good sign for a market recovery. All right. And I am going to take a break here. If you have any questions, let me know. And as always, I'm going to keep my eye to see if there are any new suggestions that come up from my scanner. And then we can also talk about, additionally, we can talk about some other things that we think long term would be good. Like we talked about photonics. I think long term would be good, and a lot of those assets I've been following. So we looked at Taiwan Semi, and we looked at some of the other photonics. I think that we made a lot of progress on a lot of those photonics, and they're high. So I'm going to look for some pullback in them. But like I said, I was looking for Taiwan Semi to do well. Let's try it. Look at that. That has a really nice 4-hour chart. It's been trending up. really strong. Any sort of pullback below 40 looks like it has potential or legs. What's the price target on this? 42. So we're kind of at where the price target was. Needham has 36. Riley's in the 20s. So this kind of took off, and this might continue because of it's like a trending thing, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. What I see is that in one of my photonics groups, they've made a buy on that, and they think it's going to do well as AEHR. And I think that one is I don't know, sensors or something like that. I have to look it up, but they're also, wow, look at that jump. That's crazy. So they had it's up 120% this year. I don't know if they have a price target. Let's see if we can find a price target on them. AEHR. This is again one of those things that's like, you know, it's trending and it's jumping. It has a price target of 29 by Lake Street, like half of where we are right now. Well, that price target was probably based on the current price in December, being realistic. I think they're overbought. I think this is probably one of those trending things, and it might continue. But I get concerned to play these, because this to me is like playing. This is not. This is gambling. This is not investing. No, no. I don't like this. I'm in that group, and they're buying it, but I don't. It's making me uncomfortable. I gotta be honest. Okay, so now this is interesting. Another group I'm in. They added Nebius, and wow, man, we missed out on Nebius. It's up 8% today. Incredible. It's at 157. Wow, I totally missed out on that one. It blew the roof off. Okay, cool. Palantir. What is going on with Palantir? They were down under 130 earlier. They're recovering. They're back at this 133. I have this 133 as a support. It's midstream in their value area. Long term, they're coming back. I would buy more at below 130. I think this is a crazy buy at one around 130. They're up 3% today. Do you buy it today? I don't think it matters really. If you buy today, tomorrow, whatever, you wait a few months and it's going to go back up to the 200s. Just buy, you know? Okay. I do like Palantir long term. They have a lot of government contracts. They should do well. Let's take a look at ELV. Elevance Health, they're down today a little bit under 1% at 309. They're kind of sitting at their support. Let's see what their price target is. They have a price target of 375, 345. Truist is okay. But they usually have a motivation. Muzo has them at 350. Again, Wolf has them higher. So they definitely have potential to turn around. I like Elevance Health as a potential to turn around, but this is a potential. Let's take a look at some other things. What's doing with CIFR? Wow, up another 5% today. Cipher Digital. Crazy. What's going on with Wolf? I was trading Wolf when it was like $1. When it was $2, I was trading it then. I held it. I didn't held it. And it went up to 20. It's up 3% today. Man, whoa, what a move. What's Microsoft doing today? Microsoft's up 1%. Not bad, to 377. What's Oracle doing? Oracle's at 150. Again, I like Oracle on its recovery. What's Moody's doing? Moody's is hanging on to this bottom here, about 425. It's up $5 today, but their price target is higher. What's their price target? Morgan Stanley has them at 490, which would be another 11% from here. Again, this is one of those more safer plays, I think. What's Meta doing? Meta's off. It's at 626. This is sort of a bottom of a value area when it did that big dip down to the 520s, and I missed out buying down there. The daily is trending downward, and let's look at the weekly just to show you what the weekly looks like. There is this longer term trend up. It should hold into the 630s where we are. This looks like on the weekly, right? I could draw a line across the tops, and this is a strong support on the weekly for Meta. We have a triangle, a bunch of support here. We dip down here. I'd like to see it break above 635 for an indication that we are going long, and this is the reverse long. What do we have on a price target for them? 805 by Stifle. Wow. Okay, what do we have? Anyone like Morgan or JP? Do they have price targets? Wolf has them at 800. Right. So there is long-term. Rosenblatt has 1,000. KeyBank is at 760. I kind of want to see Morgan, but I like their price targets better. Dow is holding. Yeah. Ondas is moving back up. I mentioned earlier about Ondas, and they're back up over $9, nine and a quarter. Yeah, so I'm holding and waiting for the Dow to recover. Let's see if I have anything else that came up on my scanner. Just the BTU and this prop. DY was a recommendation a while back from, I think, Seeking Alpha. They're at 391. Interesting. They were recommended. I think they were above 400 at the time, and they pulled back significantly to like 330, whatever, 350, and now they're back up to the 390. Yeah. Seeking Alpha gives really good recommendations. Just their timing sucks. Like, you can't buy it when they say to buy it. That just does never work. All right. I don't have anything else. Let's see. Dow is just holding. We're basically, flat still, waiting for the rest of the day. I'm going to continue holding this for a while, and we'll continue. I'm going to switch tasks soon, so I will end the show probably. But I see that we have potential to recover on the Dow, targeting 48, 167 on the high side. The Russell looks like it reached the top of its channel. The Nasdaq as well is close to the top of its channel, and the S&P is below, but it's getting there. So it's the market will either from here will either bounce back down or will continue its recovery. A lot will depend on the price of oil and what's happening in Iran. But you can see the euro is looking like it's going sideways. It's at 1.17. When it was in the 1.15s and even lower, I was like, guys, you got to buy it. So that's been doing its recovery. Copper's been doing its recovery. I've been saying copper, 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 copper. It's going long term. Buy copper. Okay, I'm done saying that. Oil is going to come back down. It's at 102 right now. The VIX is settling. It's below 20. The tick is flat for the moment, meaning it's not going up or down. So I think right now there's just a lot of standstill of like nobody knows what's going on. I think that's the problem. All right. So I'm not taking any trades at the moment. I'm just kind of chilling, and we'll see. If I make any trades, I will post it to my WhatsApp group. So please like, comment, and share the video. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out with the algorithm and makes sure that you get to see it, and makes sure that I get to do this with some, reward that I have friends watching, because that would be just so nice to know that my friends are watching. Okay, so we do have some announcement. Iran's Navy is laying a few minutes ago. Iran's Navy is laying at the bottom of the sea, completely obliterated. They attacked their small attack ships. So that's interesting. Fear and greed is on the extreme fear side for crypto. That is generally a buy indication, right? When we're at extreme fear, it means you might want to buy. So look at this. Iranians are studying abandoning their enrichment as a part of condition for the war. So that could be the motivating factor that really changes things, and changes the angle of the war. That does not mean that we have a reversal, though. Be mindful that because we've had several months of a couple months of backup of oil flow, that will impact the economy. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but it will. So there you go. That's what I'm worried about, or that's my concern. That's what I'm doing today. And if you have any sort of questions, please feel free to share them. Again, I welcome you to join my investment group on WhatsApp. We trade ideas. I put out shout outs and things like that about what I might be doing, what I might be buying, what I might be selling. And yeah, join me. Love it. All right. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody. Good luck trading. Good luck with everything that you're working on. And if there's anything that you want to share with us, go ahead. Thanks. Have a great day.